Hello! In this lesson, I'm going to talk about the past simple and the past continuous. You can pause the video or rewind it and listen again until you understand the theory. First, let's focus on the past simple. How is the past simple formed? In English, we have two kinds of verbs, regular and irregular. If the verb is regular, we add ed to the verb. For example, we say, I worked, you worked, he worked, she worked, it worked. We worked, you worked, they worked. So we just add ed to the verb. To make questions, we use did and we drop the ending ed. So we say, did I work? Did you work? Did he work? Notice that we drop the ending ed from the main verb. To make negatives, we use didn't for informal speech, and we use did not when we use formal language. And again, we drop the ending ed. So we say, I didn't work, or I did not work, you didn't work, he didn't work, we didn't work, you didn't work, they didn't work. In short answers, we only use yes, no, plus the subject pronoun, plus did or didn't. So we say, did Steve Jobs invent the iPhone? No, he didn't. He was only the CEO. Did Bill Gates drop out of Harvard? Yes, he did, because he had better things to do, such as start his own computer software company. Let's look at the spelling rules for the past simple of regular verbs. Verbs ending in E take only D. Dance, danced. Verbs ending in a consonant plus Y, drop Y and take IED. Study, consonant Y, we drop Y and it becomes studied, IED. Verbs ending in a vowel plus Y take ED. Play, played. Verbs ending in a stressed vowel between two consonants, double the last consonant and take ED. Plan, planned. Refer, referred. So we see we have F consonant, E the stressed vowel, R the last consonant, so we double the final consonant and we say preferred with double R. But X is not doubled, so we say fixed and mixed. Verbs ending in L, double the L and take ED, but that only happens in British English. Travel, traveled, label, labeled, etc. Now the suffix ed is pronounced in three ways. You don't need to memorize the rules because in time you will learn how to pronounce the ed just by listening to native speakers. But let's have a look at the rules. So ed is pronounced id in verbs ending in to or do, such as started, decided. It is pronounced to in verbs ending in ku, su, chu, shu, f, or pu. Liked, missed, watched, wished, laughed, stopped. And it is pronounced do in verbs ending in any other sound, such as opened, loved, enjoyed, etc. However, many verbs in English are irregular. Irregular verbs have their own forms in the past simple, and you have to learn them by heart. So, for example, the past simple of write is wrote, I wrote. The past simple of go is went, you went, and the past simple of leave is left, he left. Now in questions and negatives, we use the auxiliary verb did and the simple form of the main verb. So we say, did I write? So when we use did, the verb goes back to its basic form, did I write? We don't say did I wrote, we say did I write. Did you go? Did he leave? I didn't write, I didn't go, he didn't leave. So notice how the verb goes back to its basic form when I use did or didn't. So now how can you learn the irregular verbs? So now it's not as easy, and you can look at a list of irregular verbs, such as this one, a list of common irregular verbs, and learn 5 verbs each time. Or you can learn the most common irregular verbs first, or you can learn a new verb, and at the same time you can learn its tenses as well, or you can learn them when you listen to songs. And these are just some ideas, and well, you can think of other ways in which to learn the irregular verbs. So when do we use the past simple? For actions which happened at a definite time in the past, so we say she was born in 1990, and 1990 is the definite time in the past. You could say yesterday, you could say last Tuesday, and these are definite times in the past. For habits in the past, for example, when I was a child, I went to the beach every summer. For actions which happened one after the other in the past, she came in, introduced herself, and began to talk about her country. For an action, a new action interrupting an action that was already taking place, and here we use the simple past together with the past continuous in the same sentence. For example, the students were singing when the teacher came into the classroom. Now, the action that was in progress, the longer action, is the past continuous, and the new action that interrupted is the simple past, so the teacher came into the classroom. We also use it in the second conditional, which expresses the unreal in the present or future. So if I had time, I would help you, but I don't have time to talk about wishes for the present. I wish you were here. And some time expressions that we use with the simple past are the words ago, 1 hour ago, 2 days ago, yesterday, last Friday, last year, last Christmas, last month, in 2012, etc. Now, let's look at the WH questions. We use the question form after WH words, such as who, what, when, and where, except when you're asking about a subject, the subject. So, who did you meet yesterday? Who is the object, you is the subject, so we use the question form. But when you say who discovered electricity, who is the subject of discovered, so we don't use the question form here, we don't use did. What did you do yesterday? You is the subject, what is the object, so we use the question form. But we say what happened, we don't use the question form because what is the subject of happened. Now we can use used to instead of the simple past to talk about past habits or things that do not happen anymore. So for example, we say he used to play football professionally, but he had to quit because of an injury. Used to is followed by infinitive and has the same form in all persons. So we say I used to play, you used to play, he used to play, etc. In questions and negatives, we use did and didn't, and we drop d in used. So we say, did I use to play? I didn't use to play. Now in short answers, we only use yes or no plus the subject pronoun plus did or didn't. Did you used to eat many sweets when you were younger? Yes, I did. No, I didn't. Now let's have a look at the past continuous. How is the past continuous formed? We use the past tense of the verb to be, which is was or were, and the ing form of the verb. So we say, I was, you were, he was, she was, it was, we were, you were, they were playing. In the question, we invert. We put was or were first and then the subject. So we say, was I playing, were you playing, was he playing, were we playing, etc. And for the negative, we say, I was not, or were not is for formal speech, or I wasn't for informal language. I wasn't playing, you weren't playing, he, she, it wasn't playing. So in other words, we use the simple past of the verb to be plus the ing form of the verb. We weren't playing, you weren't playing, they weren't playing. In short answers, we only use yes or no plus the subject pronoun plus was, wasn't, were, weren't. Was she reading a book? Yes, she was. No, she wasn't. Were they sleeping? Yes, they were. No, they weren't. Let's look at the spelling rules. These are pretty much the same spelling rules that we used to form the present continuous because again we have the ing ending of the verb. So for verbs ending in E, we drop E and add ing, right? Writing, we drop the final E and we add ing. For verbs ending in a stressed vowel between two consonants, we double the last consonant. So begin, beginning. So we have G is the consonant, I is the stressed vowel, and the last consonant, so we double the last consonant, beginning with double N. Verbs ending in IE, drop the IE and add ing. So lie, we drop IE, and it becomes YING, lying, you're lying. Now, when do we use the past continuous? To show something that continued for some time. In this case, we want to emphasize the duration. My head was aching. And to emphasize the duration, we could use an expression such as all day, all morning, all night. He was working all night, for example. Second, a past action which was in progress when another action interrupted it. I was watching TV when she called. So I was watching TV was the action, the longer action that was in progress, and that's the past continuous. When she called is the interruption. The interruption is the simple past. An action which was in progress at a certain time in the past. Last night at 6 p.m. I was eating dinner. So like that was in progress. I was eating dinner. I was in the middle of eating dinner. Two actions which were in progress at the same time in the past. Were you listening while he was talking? So these are two parallel actions in the past. To give background information in a story, that morning a strong wind was blowing. And with always to express annoyance. I don't like them because they were always complaining. Note that with verbs not normally used in the continuous form, the simple past is used. So these are the stative verbs. When I got home, I really needed a shower. No one will say I was needing a shower because this is a stative verb. And some signal words that we use with a past continuous is while I was sleeping, as I was sleeping, all day, I was sleeping all day, I was sleeping all morning, all night, I was working all night, etc. Now, what's the difference between the past simple and the past continuous? The past simple is used for a finished action at a certain time in the past. So we say the plane landed at the airport at 8 o'clock yesterday morning, and that's finished, it landed. But we use the past continuous for an action in progress at a certain time in the past. So for example, at 9 o'clock yesterday morning, the plane was flying to New York. That was in progress. It wasn't finished, it was in progress. Also, we use the past simple for actions happening one after the other in the past. First, she read the text and then she answered the questions. That happened two actions that happened immediately one after the other. And we use the past continuous for two actions happening at the same time in the past. She was listening carefully while the teacher was explaining the lesson. Now, these are two parallel actions in the past. And again, you can have the simple past and the past continuous in the same sentence, and then the past continuous would be the longer action that was in progress. For example, I was sleeping when the phone rang, and then the phone rang is the simple past. This is the interruption. And these are the sources I used, so that's the end of the lesson. Thank you for listening.